Product design usually fixates entirely on day one. We optimize for the showroom floor, the pristine unboxing video, and that fleeting moment a surface catches the light perfectly right out of the package. But fast forward to year 5. When you look at an object that has been used hard, you have to ask a very uncomfortable question. Is this worn, battered state something the designer actually chose, or is it just something that happened to the product? For the vast majority of products, the design brief goes completely silent on how the object ages. That silence isn't a neutral oversight. It is an active structural failure. Look at how a standard frying pan is assembled. The moment a permanent rivet holding the handle inevitably fails, the entire piece of cookware instantly becomes useless scrap. When you build a permanent joint but ignore the timeline of its failure, you haven't designed a lasting product. You've just engineered future waste. The Addy sauté pan takes a different approach. It ships as raw, uncoated aluminum. That means metal touches food directly. Every scratch, heat mark, and layer of patina it develops over time is the intended finish, rather than damage a user needs to avoid. The critical detail, though, is the handle attachment. Instead of a permanent rivet, it's held on by a single stainless screw. That one fastener shifts a snapped handle from a terminal event into a routine, repairable maintenance task. You back the screw out, swap the handle, and keep cooking. The makers also chose to give the pan an octagonal profile, openly admitting those 8 straight sides offer zero cooking advantage over a standard round base. The geometry is psychological. It is designed to look interesting enough that you leave it out on the stovetop instead of burying it in a dark cupboard. Visibility operates as a calculated longevity strategy. An object left on display gets used daily, and an object that gets used heavily does not get replaced. You can also program the end state through physical reincarnation. Taylor Leung takes discarded polyester garments and heat fuses them directly into mild steel cages, entirely skipping adhesives or chemical binders. The colors of the old clothes stay visible, but their physical properties change. The resulting block's density and porosity are tuned strictly by the 3D printed bonding pattern, rather than the original textile itself. Alternatively, an object can be engineered for sudden, complete ephemerality. Take the 2026 Brussels Farmer carpet, which arranged 750,000 dahlias across the Grand Place Square for a specific, short-term installation. Giving a design a strict 4-day service life does not make it a failure. It is a disciplined specification, built into the project from the very first sketch. The ultimate fate of the object, whether it becomes a structural component for a new wall or a pile of compost, becomes a parameter to be managed from inception. Designing for the end of a product's life depends on knowing exactly what that end looks like before the first prototype is ever built. This vector flowchart shows how standard generative AI models struggle here. They are built to surprise you, which means they constantly drift away from your input, branching off into distorted iterations that ignore material reality. Professional design work demands the opposite. A concept render has to strictly match the physics, accurate dimensions, and material behaviors of a real-world product. Studios use Depix design intelligence to lock down these variables, maintaining the geometry and material properties even as the model generates new iterations. Throw 5 years of hard physical use at an uncoated metal surface digitally, and watch an accurate heavy patina develop in roughly 20 seconds. Simulating these effects early is a response to the cost of physical production. Tooling and prototyping are the most expensive parts of the process. Any error discovered there is permanent. You have to commit to the entire life cycle of an object during the concept phase, because pivoting a design is cheap when it's just a sketch, but brutal once the steel is actually cut.